Oh, would you look at that? A new Zelda game. Hang on a sec. That's not a Zelda game. What is. What is that? Oh, Hyrule Warriors. Right. Hyrule Warriors is a game developed by Koei Tecmo instead of Nintendo. Nintendo did publish it, however, and it was oversaw by Eiji Aonuma, who is a executive producer for the Legend of Zelda series, so it retains its identity. However, it is not a traditional Zelda game as we know it. Hyrule Warriors is in fact a Dynasty Warriors game with a Zelda coat of paint. It's a game that its formula is very hard to get into for a lot of people, and with that being said, I hope you're able to sit down and enjoy this review, and at the end, make your own informed decision as to whether or not you want to give this game a go. Let's delve into Hyrule Warriors. If I had to describe how Hyrule Warriors looked, I would say colorful and relatively faithful. The game looks like it belongs in the Zelda franchise, and many of the unique areas are very colorful and eye-popping. The abilities used by all of the characters are indeed very nice to look at as you play. However, that does not leave it without fault. I understand that with a lot of enemies on screen and with a lot of things happening, the game isn't, going to be eye-droppingly gorgeous with such limited hardware. The game ends up looking rather dated rather quickly. Its art style admittedly could have been a bit more timeless, I would say. However, it doesn't look bad. Texture quality is all around decently good. However, up close it does tend to lack any real depth of detail, thus making some areas look rather bad. The one instance I can point out for this would have to be if you defeat a stage as Lana holding one of her weapons. She'll rub a tree, and looking at the tree you can see that the texture detail on that is piss poor. That's not to say the game looks bad. Again, I actually rather like the style they chose, and seeing as how understandable it is that the game tends to just in general look as good as it does, it's an achievement. However, the game tends to chug, which is also a problem. The game does run at a 1080p 60 FPS, though I'm fairly certain the game probably could be stated that it's about 720p in terms of its texture detail and resolution upscaled to 1080p. However, it does run like that, but not all the time. When things start to really get chaotic on the screen, you might notice that the frame rate tends to slow down, and visually that can be quite jarring, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's really hard to look at it effectively. Hyrule Warriors looks averagely good, and it does speak good things for what we can expect for the next Zelda title to be put on the Wii U with Nintendo's first-party support. This was a second-party game. No, it's a third-party game with second-party support on the Wii U, so it's not utilizing the full capabilities that a first-party developer might have. So it does speak wonders for what we can expect coming later on, and oh boy, I'm excited. Now, before I go on any further here, let me just state this. Hyrule Warriors is officially non-canon. It is a part of its own separate universe and separate dimension in comparison to what is happening in the original Legend of Zelda series. While it makes references to those other games, it's part of its own separate thing and does not exist according to the official Legend of Zelda timeline and the developers that put it together. That being said, it's still a very charming and unique story, and I'm ready, and here it is for you to slightly see. Again, we went through this entire game on the channel, so if you want to see this story for yourself, please go ahead. I will not spoil too much in this review, and if you want to see anything about the Legend Mode storyline, go ahead and stop this review and go check it out. I put a lot of effort into that, even if it was a more casual series. In this universe, we have Zelda, who is a princess. Originally, though, however, she was thought to be that she was going to be a queen, given the amount of power she held, but apparently they retained her sense of identity as a princess, which is cool. I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, she's Princess Zelda. She never has been Queen Zelda. She's awoken by a tense dream that she had, and in that dream she realizes that it's time to look for the hero of legend to help stem the tide of evil. Upon entering the courtyard of her trainees, she sees a promising young trainee fighting and succeeding over the others. With a small lock of eyes, Princess Zelda is whisked away as there is a coming battle. However, that doesn't stop our young faithful trainee Link from charging into battle. He wants to help and nothing's really going to stop him. However, Link is mute. Big shocker, but he does end up meeting a fairy. When this fairy merges with Link, she gives him a voice, speaking for him and reading his thoughts more. Link can talk to fairies, though it's not exactly pointed out. So, that allows Link to talk. However, in this battle, Princess Zelda is thought to go missing. And it's up to Link and his newfound friends, really the Hyrulean army, to go and find her, and to stop whatever's unleashing this evil upon Hyrule. Now, I know that's the very basic gist of the story, but it's really something heartwarming. I don't really want to spoil it, and I usually don't like to spoil the story of a game anyway. It's a very simple and predictable plot, yes, but it does come out with some nice moments that are just going to make you smile. It's a tribute to the Legend of Zelda franchise, and I happen to enjoy it quite a bit. Oh boy, the gameplay. This is where you're going to be spending a majority of your time when you play a video game. Who knew? But in Hyrule Warriors, I might as well just multiply that by 1,000. The gameplay in this game is what's going to keep you playing for a long, long time. Hyrule Warriors is effectively a Dynasty Warriors game, but what are those games? They are hack and slash spectacle fighters, or whatever you want to call it. More in the hack and slash variety than the usual intense combos of a spectacle fighter. You would control one hero, and there are two armies on a battlefield. You are to, in the different scenarios that you're given, lead your army to victory, whether that be to slaughter the enemy commander, slaughter thousands upon thousands of minions, or simply taking objectives and trying to avoid as much combat as possible. Though why are you doing that in Hyrule Warriors? Seriously, come on. The gameplay of Legend Mode has Link and the different heroes, I might add, going through the different scenarios. There are about 18 different chapters that'll take you roughly about 6 to 8 hours of your time. Each scenario feels relatively different, even if some areas in the game do end up coming back up. Oddly enough, I do want to point out, this game has every right to be repetitive. And it is. It's incredibly repetitive. You're doing the same stuff over and over again, with maybe a different backdrop, different characters, but it's relatively the same. And yet, for some weird reason, the formula, the visuals, the game itself never gets boring. And that's going to be different based on a lot of other people, but for me, that's how I personally felt. Here I am many, many months later after its release, and I'm still enjoying my time playing the game. And admittedly, no, I have not beaten it. Well, technically, I have beaten it. You see, after you beat Legend Mode, you unlock the ability to go through it on Hero Mode, which has you going through harder chapters. The difficulties being easy, normal, hard, and Hero Mode. Hero Mode is best saved for when you are prepared for it, and I warn you, jumping into that without being prepared is a problem. You are going to have so much frustration dealing with that, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I mentioned Legend Mode. There are other things. So after you beat the main plot of the game, you have access to go through the game again on a harder difficulty section, which is something I would recommend doing. Throughout the game, you'll notice you have been collecting Skulltulas, which are a staple from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. They are collectible that you collected in those games, and that's no different here. Completing certain objectives, usually getting 1,000 kills in a battle, allows you to unlock a Skulltula, which you must find in a timely manner. Once killed, unlocking an illustration piece, which can get these nice paintings on in the background. We'll get more into that in a minute. But going through the game and completing Legend Mode unlocks the hard mode Skulltulas, which you can then go through and collect with the different heroes. They want you to use a specific weapon and a specific hero to get each Skulltula, as well as the fact that you're going to want to go through and get the collectibles you may have missed in Legend Mode, which I guarantee you will have missed some. Now that's just Legend Mode. There's also Free Mode, which allows you to go through Legend, essentially what is Legend Mode again, but with any hero of your choosing that you have currently unlocked. As of the original game, there were 9 heroes, but now there are many more thanks to the DLC. The DLC. If there's anything that gives PTSD in a video game, it's Hyrule Warriors DLC. Now, let's say you've done Legend Mode and you've done Free Mode a good chunk and you're ready to see something more. What would if I told you that Legend Mode and Free Mode only took about maybe a quarter of your time? Because that's it. 75% of the rest of the game is going to be taking place in Adventure Mode. Whenever you launch Adventure Mode, you're going to be given a small little introduction akin to the original Legend of Zelda. And then you're going to see the original Legend of Zelda's map. And this is really cool. It shows 8-bit sprites of all the heroes, 8-bit sprites of the many weapons from the many different games. And in general, you're just going to be completing different challenges going through the Adventure Mode map. Most of your time is going to be spent going through here. Not just doing the challenges, but perfecting them, unlocking the different heroes, and just relatively going through the game. The different challenges range from protect your base while trying to go to others, defeating the giant boss monsters that appeared throughout the game. Perhaps instead you're going to be trying to kill a ton of monsters in the time limit provided. Each challenge feels, while they feel progressively harder, even if they are similar challenges. Now, one big problem I tend to have with Hyrule Warriors is the difficulty scaling doesn't really make much sense. You see, the game may say this, that as you're going on, that the challenges are... How do I put this? Challenges don't necessarily say how hard they are or what level you might want to try. You can only know this by trial and error. Going in and seeing you don't do enough damage to complete a challenge. I know for a fact going through one of the challenges, I had so much trouble doing them because I wasn't at level. And it doesn't give you a clear indication as to what level or how much power they want your hero to have at that point. It's a small issue that can really compound into a big one because it happens consistently. If I'm going to keep going on with problems, another problem are the boss monsters. Perhaps the biggest innovation to the Dynasty Warriors franchise in Hyrule Warriors would have to be the fact that there are giant boss monsters. This is simultaneously their biggest, coolest idea, as well as their worst. because the bosses are set to a random pattern. Now, most cases, it'd be cool that bosses are set to random patterns. You don't know what comes next. However, they are only vulnerable after certain attacks. Meaning, you can't do much damage to them unless they do a specific attack that allows you to hit them. This can compound to hours of frustration if a boss won't let you kill it. I had similar problems in my project on episode 4, which I'll show you right here. No! That's the second time this time. I did that. I maybe was a little late in attacking him. Maybe that's what happened. Up, now he's Woolulooing. Curse the Woololoos. Can I just boomerang you? Is that one thing we can do? Please? Yep, he's poisoned. Whee! Alright, come on. Can I just kill you? Something we need to work on this, Manhandler. Ow. I need to stop this. Again, it's doing chip damage here. But I always felt that doing chip damage also caused him to do attacks that would get you away from him. And not necessarily, stop with the Woolaloos, just let me kill you! You're drawing out the video! And voice crack. Manhandler, you put a damper on this game, man. I did a lot of damage, honestly. Not more than I was expecting. Oh, nope, there's more Woolaloos. Sigh. You know, I always wanted to stay in the Valley of Sears forever. Right? That's something we always want. Yay, it's an attack I can actually do something with. Hey, we got all of them this time. Hooray, we beat him. There's no way. I would really have to screw up in order for us not to take him out here. And... Alright, so let's get back on the positive track. What do you have to do in Hyrule Warriors? Well, I mentioned in Adventure Mode you want to get to the end of it. However, what is there to see and do? In Adventure Mode, there are different 8-bit items you'll be collecting in order to unlock secrets in each challenge map. Each challenge map, well, at that point, you'll be unlocking new secrets and such. By secrets, I don't really want to spoil everything, but you'll unlock new weapons, new characters, and in general, upgrades that allow your characters to become stronger. It's definitely something that's worth your time, especially if you like playing the game. I know for a fact I haven't covered Adventure Mode yet on the channel as I do this review, so while that's why footage isn't exactly appearing about Adventure Mode. However, I'm going to make this my official announcement. We will be covering Adventure Mode on this channel with an interactive guide I'll release in the next few weeks. Hyrule Warriors was an interesting little experiment. The Legend of Zelda franchise isn't doing as hot as they'd like over in Japan, and Dynasty Warriors definitely isn't a series that's incredibly popular over here in the States and to, in most cases, Western culture. This was a way for both series to get a bit more light in their respective areas, because The Legend of Zelda does great in the West, and Dynasty Warriors does great in the East. This was a great idea, and I'd say it succeeded wonderfully. This game isn't perfect. By no means is it perfect. And I'm sure I haven't covered all of it here. But we will be coming back to this idea after Adventure Mode is complete. This is just a small taste of what's to come in Hyrule Warriors. And I hope you'll stick around for the ride. I greatly enjoyed my time with Hyrule Warriors, and it hit my Game of the Year for 2014. I hope to see more things like this. More collabs with different franchises, and just to see franchises get out of their traditional roots. As for the project, the last little thing that I always hate doing in these sections, how did I do as a Let's Player? For the most part, I actually did greatly enjoy playing through the game, and my commentary felt rather fresh, and it wasn't exactly... I mean, I liked it. I liked the project. It took a bit too much time to only get 18 episodes, but this was meant to be a laid-back series, so I will give myself some slack, considering that I was under some surgery when I started it and ended it just after my last surgery. Hyrule Warriors gets a great LP status from me. Doesn't mean you have to agree, but I'd love it if you spread it around. Abinave of Chaotic Reunion, and I hope to see you all as we continue Eternal Sonata and The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap.